We don't know what happened to Tyler. I wanted him to succeed at school and just fit in and be as normal as possible.
A large percentage of people in our country that are charged with a crime are mentally ill at some level.
This has been going on for 25 years that they have failed those people that need mental health treatment.
He didn't know how to function. It was like he had his own reality. That was his reality.
Some people saying he's a criminal, he committed a crime. Some people said no, he's got mental problems, he needs help. And you're crossed in the middle.
I remember at the sink getting water, and he walked up behind me. That's when I don't remember nothing after that.
I remember calling the cops and standing outside, and so I didn't have to look at what I did.
Those are some of my favorites. It's hard looking at his pictures and reliving his life and our life. I always, in the back of my mind, knew he'd be right where he is right now. We have some good memories of Tyler. He was very loving. He loved hugs so much. But we had problems with Tyler when he was probably 6 months old. He was always upset if he couldn't get comfortable. He just always cried, and it just progressed. He started medication when he was 4. I asked for help when he was 2, but they said that I was exaggerating his tendencies, I guess you'd say, because I had my own anxiety and depression.
My name is Walter Hare, Tyler Douglas. He's my son. Real active, played a lot and everything else. Real cool kid till his mama took them away from him. She just packed everything up and left.
Walter and I married 2 months after I graduated high school. He was I don't know how, I guess domineering is one of my words. That led up to our divorce. Tyler, the older he got, I had more trouble, being able to deal with him. When he would go to school, I just felt like I was throwing him out, to the wolves just to let him tear him up because he didn't know how to function. He had generalized anxiety, delusional, question concerning his mood. He reported he was mad a lot, but suffered mood swings. I've tried to have him committed when he was 12. The doctor that came and spoke for him at the hearing said that he didn't belong in a facility, so they threw that out. We videoed Tyler's, one of his episodes one time. He had the door locked, so I was just having to listen and watch, and it was heartbreaking because I want him to be happy. At that point, I was pretty defeated with it. I was on different medicines all the time. I had to go every day to outpatient therapy, and I tried to overdose. I did overdose. Wasn't anything to do with Tyler, it was just life in general. It's hard to talk about when I sent him to his dad because that's a very big regret that I have. It was beautiful, it was fall. I had trouble with Tyler that morning trying to get him to go to school. So I let his teacher know he was having a bad morning. About 11 o'clock, he called. Tyler's threatening people. I'm gonna have to suspend him. I thought maybe a different tactic would help.
She called me up and said, I'm gonna bring him down there to you, and he's yours. You do what you want to do with him. I can't do nothing with deal with him no more.
His mom come in and just dumped his clothes out and in him.
I remember telling him bye and I love him and hugging him. And that was the last time that I saw him until he was in jail.
This call is from a correction facility and is subject to monitoring and recording.
Do you remember what happened the morning you got arrested?
No, ma'am. The only part I remember is me going to get water after looking for some Kool-Aid that I was left by my mother. After that, it's blurry.
All I remember coming out of the bedroom, get me a glass of water, and that's all I remember about that. Nothing else.
I come up here working on a 93 or 94 Ford pickup pulling the transmission out. And I wasn't gone about 5 or 10 minutes. And by the time I got back, he was out there on the phone with 911 saying Mama Sheila is hurt.
I see a phone call from Calhoun County Sheriff's Office when he tells me Tyler has stabbed someone with a 10-inch butcher knife. All I can keep replaying in my mind, what, how, why?
Do you remember why you did it?
No, ma'am, I don't. I remember calling the cops and standing outside, sick to my stomach.
The one thing that we know going in is that anyone who has not yet reached the age of 25 has not really fully mentally developed. Tyler Hare was ordered at the beginning of this case to have a mental evaluation conducted. Now, there's a big difference in the court ordering a mental evaluation to be conducted and the mental evaluation actually being conducted. The case can't go forward until the mental evaluation has been completed.
In the Tyler Hare case, the roadblock was that there was never a bed for him. To put it literally, there was never a time that he worked his way to the top of the list where he was the next person scheduled to be evaluated.
It was just constantly a waiting game. Every time I called him to check on anything, we're still waiting. We should know something. He's on the list, should be about 2 months. 2 months rolls around, still waiting. I'll give it another month. He's at the top of the list. Another year passes by, still nothing.
I've been driving trucks now for almost a year. I got into trucking from corrections. I first met Tyler Hare my first day on the job at the jail. I was briefed about Tyler. I seen his file. He's a little thick. Just reading through some of his mail, his correspondence, and it was like on a first grade, second grade level. I remember reading some where it says he constantly seeing green monsters.
I've been hearing voices since I was 6 years old. They made me miserable to the brink of suicide. About the same thing you hear inside of a Joker's head inside of a video game.
There's times I pulled him off in the booking room and asked him, Tyler, tell me exactly what they're saying. And he said, everybody thinks I'm crazy. And I said, we're going to defeat them here.
Visiting just depended on Tyler's mood, how it went. Some days they were great, some days I left and cried all the way home. His language was almost gibberish. He just seemed so down and out most of the time, just detached from everything. I was begging him, I was trying to get them to give him his medicine. Why are we not getting an evaluation? You know, nothing was being done.
Welcome to the Mississippi College School of Law Healthcare Symposium regarding mental health in Mississippi.
We have 15 admission beds for 82 counties. We're the only public forensic service in the state.
The problem is across the street with our legislature. They don't properly fund that forensic unit. And you know, they don't provide enough psychiatrists, they don't provide enough personnel to communicate effectively to the law enforcement. You go out there on that forensic unit and it looks like you're walking into 1935. You see regular padlocks. I mean, it's not even an electronic locking system. I think that at some point, you know, some court is going to force us to spend more money on behalf of the mentally ill, and it'll be a federal court. In this particular case, the sheriff was trying to help, the DA was trying to help, the defense lawyer. You know, ideally, we would get them evaluated within a month.
Imagine putting a 16-year-old child that is already mentally disabled, has no social interaction without causing problems, into that little cell for 4 straight years. What do you think is going to happen? I can't even imagine the things that went through his mind for 4 years in those concrete walls.
We all knew that Tyler needed help. Jail wasn't the place for him. What do you do when you got a guy that you know or feel that is mentally ill, that have probably committed a crime, that young enough that don't need to be here, but the state really don't have nowhere to put him? Now you got guys that's not trained on how to deal with mental problems, to deal with somebody of this caliber. To say that he really received the mental health care that he needed, no. No, he did not.
On the issue of whether he could understand what's happening and meaningfully participate in his defense, I believe that was checked off appropriately. And that he could, in fact, appreciate the difference between right and wrong at the time the crime was committed.
Competency is a very low bar. You have to be able to cooperate rationally with your attorney, recall facts of the case, be able to testify in your own behalf. If you can do those things, it doesn't matter how mentally ill you are, you still could be found competent to stand trial. What I can do as a psychologist, I think, is describe the individual's problems, the individual's assets and liabilities to the court, and let the court make its own decision.
I don't understand intellectually how these forensic evaluators come up with conclusions they do when I look at the offense and I read the evaluation, I often don't get it. And that's a leap of faith that we have to take, because there are many situations where a judge relies on a independent professional judgment of someone else. And this, nothing more serious than this, though.
It tore me up when I heard they said he was competent to stand trial. But I do remember that was one of his goals, to show people that he wasn't crazy. He succeeded in that, but not to his benefit.
All I could understand from it all was Judge Smike's gavel, and that means the little thing is either over or not over. Other than that, I didn't understand a word he said.
My future, hoping that everything be better if it has been. I had had stomach surgery because the knife cut my colon in two. But if I go to sleep, I dream about it and I wake up like he's in there with me. I just don't want to see him out in the world in the same place I'm living at. But in my opinion, he should be put in a mental hospital.
I don't have one person to blame for how this played out, but I hold a lot of guilt toward myself. He's gonna be released. Now the date's December 22nd. So within a little over a year, he's gonna be on the street, and I don't know what I'll do.
Jail is not a place for mentally ill people. It usually aggravates their mental illness.
We should treat every defendant like he's gonna come out of prison, he or she, because most will. When incarcerated, the seriously mentally ill should be seen by healthcare professionals and their needs tended to.
As his mom, I should help him. I can't help him financially. I also don't want to be responsible for him if he hurts someone else. I feel like if it's left up to Tyler, that he would go to a homeless shelter.
If Tyler Hare is not receiving any kind of mental help or treatment while he's incarcerated, I think that that is probably not good for when he gets out.
Being a judge, I can't walk away. I got over by pushing all of my hate, my anger, and my rage to one concept. The world is imperfect. I'm imperfect.
I don't know if I should be scared of him or not, but Mama in me wants to just hug him.